Okay, so obviously we're at that time of year where people are looking up their CO choices and thinking, ooh, do I want to be a reporter or a journalist, and what qualifications do I need? What do I not need? That's all well and good. You get plenty of that advice elsewhere. I personally don't think you need a communications degree. You just need to be good with words and be good being communicating, which, even though I'm getting tied up in knots now, ignore that. Yes, you need to be able to communicate, you need to be good at words, you need to be able to report fact accurately, not give your opinion unless you're an opinion writer, which tends to come later in your career, and you need to be able to present all sides of the story fairly and accurately without bias and objectivity. Unless you work for Fox News or something like that. But anyway, yeah, but media has changed a hell of a lot even from when I joined it, and I'm kind of getting myself out of it bit by bit now, though there is a part of me that thinks I'll never leave. It's certainly gotten harder since I started, and this is the big bit of advice I give people. Lots of, I say kids, people in their late teens, early 20s come to me now looking for advice about what they should do, what they shouldn't do. And the first thing I say is it's changed a lot. Like, even a few people I've been talking to over the last few weeks said they wish that somebody told them about invoicing. Yeah, maths, even though you're working with words. I know. And the reason for that is because the media landscape has changed. There's so few permanent pensionable jobs right now in media that most people do have to work on a freelance basis, and that means sending in an invoice once a month to whoever you've worked for, or after every job or whatever, chasing it up, making sure it's written the right way, making sure you're keeping the tax man happy, very important, and making sure you get paid, even more important if you ask me. That has changed, and a lot of the colleges aren't giving that advice to people, and that needs to change. So if you're going to go into media communications, you need to be aware of this and get your ducks in a row, get advice from people, get yourself a good accountant if you're doing enough work, and just make sure that you're paying your taxes in the right way, and also getting out of them legally when you've got expenses incurred. The second thing is, it's really stressful. Like when I started off first, you had a deadline, whatever time your program went out to air, or whatever time your radio station was on air, or whatever time your paper was being published. That again now has really changed. Now it's constant. Like, I remember if you worked for RTE, your deadlines was 1 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock. That's now changed to having it out there straight away. So there's a speed to that. Not everybody's capable of it. I didn't personally like it. I found it very stressful. It does bring stress, and it's not good for your health chronically overall. You need to be a very good manager. You need to be very good at managing yourself and making sure you're not getting burnt out, because it does burn people out because it's constant, it's changing. The great story you had yesterday is totally forgotten about. Now, I suppose unless you make complete bags of a story, that kind of is an advantage of that as well, because the news cycle keeps moving on. But yeah, there's a big worry and a bigger philosophical question when it comes to media at the moment. There's so much work out there because there's so many different organisations, which is great because it gives you more opportunity. But what it also means is that it's not being paid as well, the conditions aren't as good, and it really means that really we're getting to the point soon where only middle class kids with parents with good jobs who can afford to live at home in Dublin will become journalists, because for the wages people are earning now and for the little amount of work going around for everyone, especially when you're starting out, it'd be very difficult to say to move up from Kerry or Roscommon or Donegal or Athlone to Dublin to try the big bad word of journalism, which I know regional journalism has its place and it's really important, but for a lot of people, especially in your 20s when you're more footloose and fancy free, you want to live in Dublin, see the sights, live a bit, you know, be hanging around Leinster House, be around the big games, all that kind of stuff. And that's getting harder and harder to do because the wages are going through the floor, and in the meantime rents are rising, and it's very, very difficult. So you need to think about that. Oh yeah, the old online abuse. Because everyone's now online, it means everyone can critique your work. And a bit like politicians, I think really only broadcasters and journalists are people sitting at home can decide, I'm going to give you my opinion of how you did, whether it was good, bad or indifferent, and you're going to hear it, whether it's good, bad and different. So back in the day, when there was no internet or social media or Facebook or Twitter, you could do a report in the news or on the radio or write something in a paper, and somebody at home might go, geez, that's an awful pile of poo, but you never hear it. And don't get me wrong, a bit of criticism is good so long as it's constructive. That's the other thing, you need to have a thick skin and take criticism when it comes to you, so long as it's coming in the right way. But anyway, I digress. Now, you can do a report and somebody might say, I don't like her coat, or somebody might say her hair is a state, or somebody might say she has enough breeze, and they'll write these comments to you directly. And not everybody's able to deal with that, and again, you need to be able to grow a thick skin. It's not fair, it's not right. I don't believe when people say, oh, you're in the public eye, you should take abuse. That's not true. If you wouldn't say something to somebody on the street as you're passing them, why would you do it on your phone? The problem is the person giving the abuse, not the person who's saying it upsets them. So bear that in mind as well. That's a life lesson in its own. The hours can be abysmal. It's quite difficult. I work predominantly in sport, as you know, so that means all my weekends are gone. Like, use the last example gone by, I stood in a hurricane in Armagh, then I drove to Dublin, slept in Dublin, and then I got up very early the next morning and I drove to Páirc Uí Chaoimh in Cork, sat in another hurricane, got put up that night, then drove back to Dublin on the Monday, and I was at a Leinster press conference as well. So 2 football games and a rugby game, kind of press thing, all involved in. That's a lot of hours, and the rest of the world still continues Monday to Friday, more or less, and you have to be willing, and you need to have the support systems around you, people who help you out like that. And I know if you're watching this and you're 17, you're thinking 30 is ages away, and it is, but trust me, it comes up quick. And that's my next point. People, and I know it's lovely and it's idealistic, and they say, when I grow up I want to be Marty Morrissey, when I grow up I want to be Miriam O'Callaghan, when I grow up I want to be Fintan O'Toole. All great aspirations. And there's plenty of people out there who are as good and as exceptional as these broadcasters and writers and people are, but the world of showbiz and the world of media in general, especially in Ireland, is very, very small, and even the best never get to that point. It takes a combination of hard work, good luck, determination, motivation, being in the right place at the right time. A lot of things have to fall in your favour to get into that kind of position. And you know, good luck to you. I mean, I'd love everybody to reach their aspirations in life. Yeah, so people ask me, would I recommend media as a career? And I would say yes and no. Yes, if you can afford it. Yes, if it comes easy to you, and for some people it does. Some people are magnificently gifted at it and it does come easy to them. No, if you need money. No, if people are relying on you for cash. No, if you don't have a thick skin. No, if you're not willing to travel. No, if you're not willing to put in the long hours. Did I see brilliant things, amazing things that I never would have seen? Yes, I've travelled the world. I have seen elections, I have seen floods, I've seen terrible events, I've seen great events, I've had front row seats at wonderful sporting occasions, I've travelled to the Middle East for work, I've travelled with the President of Ireland on events, I've met amazing people who I never would have met, and sometimes I think, oh, I know that person, I know this person, and that's because of what I do. But do take into account, I'm not sure doing a degree in communications is the best way for you, and then maybe that's the best advice I would give. And again, it's only based on my experience, other people might not agree. But the biggest advice I would give you is do a degree that interests you, that helps you develop and grow as you go beyond into your 20s. And also, don't undercut yourself, don't sell yourself short. That means never, ever, ever work for free. If any organisation asks you to work for free, walk away. Why? 1, you're more than likely undercutting somebody else who's getting paid for that work, and they've worked very hard to get into that position to begin with. 2, if you've done it for free, why in the name of God would you expect them to pay you for it when it comes to future you? It's not going to happen. The substitute never gets paid. So you're only dragging it down even further on yourself, on your own peers, and on the people coming after you. Don't do it. You'll also have no respect and nobody will like you. And everyone wants to be popular. 2, don't copy, don't plagiarize. That means do not lift other people's work. That means do not copy other people's style of work. Don't say, oh, I've seen MT, interview Tommy Walsh about The Lion King. That means I'm going to interview everyone else about The Lion King. It doesn't work that way. Find your own style and stick with it and hone it and grow it and take constructive criticism. And just go in with an open mind. You might see, it might be the best career ever, but I always tell people, have your plan B ready to rock and roll, because the way this landscape is going, and at some point, I know it will change back to the way it should be, but at the moment we're still tipping that way. If you want to get a mortgage, if you want to have a life, if you want to have a holiday, if you want to wake up in your mid-30s and realising you've worked actually a lot of the time much harder than your peers, and then you realise you're not earning near the amount of money they are and you haven't got near the amount of security, and if that makes you uncomfortable, have a backup plan. But above all else, enjoy it. You're young. It's a great career. At times, it's terrible. At times, you need to be able to make it work for you and weigh it up for you. But my big point is, learn to pay your bills, learn to ask for your bills, make sure you get paid, and above all else, never work for free. It doesn't work out well for anyone except some fat cat at the top who's creaming the work off you, thinking this kid is really enthusiastic, I'm going to get great work out of him. That's no good for you. It's not going to get you anywhere. Get paid, even if it's only your expenses that you start out with. Get paid and enjoy it.